right, fun day today, guys. We are going to take a break from clocks and do some pictographs and bar graphs. And this should be a review from second grade. They might always add in a couple of new things for third grade. So we are going to start with pictographs, and it seems like we have a lot of workbook pages, but we're going to be doing some together, and then I'll always leave a couple for you to do on your own. Okay? So we're going to start reading right up here. A pictograph is a graph that uses pictures or symbols to represent data. The pictograph below shows the number of votes for favorite ice cream flavors. The key tells that each ice cream cone symbol stands for the way students voted. All right, so we have favorite ice cream flavors, and you can see that people have voted. Okay, I'm going to tell you the most important thing, or one of the most important things about a pictograph is always to look at your key, which is right down here. Okay, so I have 3 flavors. I have peanut butter crunch, cherry vanilla, and chocolate. So the first thing that you want to do when you get to a pictograph is you want to make a circle by each flavor, and then we're going to write how many people voted for it. Okay, let's look at peanut butter crunch first. So I have a whole ice cream cone, but I know because I have my key here that one ice cream cone stands for 4 votes. So that means I have 4 here, and then I have half an ice cream cone. So what's half of 4? Think about what that would be. Half of 4. If I had 4 dots and I divide them in half, so that means that it's 1 whole ice cream, which is 4, plus another one, which is 2. So 4 plus 2 is 6. So we're going to go and we're going to write how many votes on each one. That way, when we get to our questions down below, it's going to be really easy because we're going to have done all this work. But always look down at your key, because when kids are taking important tests at FES and I see them doing pictographs, sometimes they'll forget and they'll look at cherry vanilla, which is our next one, and they'll say, well, there were 3 votes. But it's not 3 votes, is it? Because each ice cream cone is worth 4. So I can do multiplication and I can say 4 times 3 to get my answer, or I can count by 4s. 4, 8, 12. So there are 12 votes for cherry vanilla. I think Mrs. Hagen might vote for that one too. So let's look at chocolate. You guys are probably chocolate fans. So remembering again that each cone is worth 4. So let's count by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Okay, and I could, on that one, I could have also done 5 times 4. 5 cones times 4 votes for each cone. So now I have my information, and now I'm ready to answer my questions. So let's look at number 1. How many votes were there for chocolate? See how easy this is now because we did our work ahead of time. I look up and I say, oh, chocolate, 20 votes. Okay, that's why every time we do a pictograph, we do our work ahead. Okay? You need to write votes there too. That's like your label. All right, so you're going to have some more questions. I'm going to look at, I don't want to do them all with you. Let's look at number 5. How many fewer votes were there for peanut butter crunch than chocolate? So I'm only going to look at peanut butter crunch and chocolate, and because it says fewer, I know I'm going to minus. So peanut butter crunch was 6, and then chocolate was 20. So I'm going to need to do an equation there. Put my big number first when I subtract. 20, take away 6 to get my final answer for how many more there were. Okay? So sometimes you'll have to do a small equation like that. And I'm looking at number 4. It says how many people did not vote for chocolate. So then I'm going to need to add the cherry vanilla and the peanut butter crunch, aren't I? Okay, for number 4. When it says how many people in all voted, I'm going to need to look at all of my numbers for number 2, okay, and I'm going to need to add those up, okay, to see how many people voted in all. All right, I think the rest of that you will be good on, so I want you to pause the video until you finish this page and then meet me on the next page. All right, hopefully you got that first page done okay. We're still going to be working with pictographs on page 304. Okay, we're going to start right up here reading. Use the data about Kanye's playlist to make your own pictograph. Here's our data that we already know. We're going to turn that data into a pictograph. Remember, a pictograph uses pictures instead of numbers. Okay, so we're going to have 3 types of music. We're going to have jazz, we're going to have rap, and we're going to have classical. So we're going to take this information and move it over to a pictograph. So we're going to label jazz, you can just put a J, rap, and classical. We'll keep it simple there so you have a little more room. Now we need to think of a way. First of all, let's get our title on. Where does your title go? Right up at the top. Your pictograph has to have a title. Kanye's playlist. All right. Now, in order to figure out what kind of picture we're going to use, okay, on our other one that we just did on the other page, they used ice cream cones. But Mrs. Hagen is thinking that we'll just use a circle. Okay, that's kind of like a record, right? So we need to figure out each circle is going to stand for a certain amount. So we want to look at our numbers that we have right here and go, okay, it looks to me like 4 is the smallest, and the other 2 numbers are also multiples of 4, because if I count by 4, 4, 8, 12, 16. So 4 seems like a good number for our record. Okay, so let's say that we are going to, each circle is going to stand for 4 records. Okay, here we go. So jazz, look over at jazz. We know that there were 12. How many 4s do I need to make 12? That's how many circles I'm going to put in my pictograph. Let's count. 4, 8, 12. Okay, because we know that each record stands for 4. Now let's look at rap. We're going to count by 4s again. This time we're going to go to 16. 4, 8, 12, 16. Looks good so far, right? And for classical, I only have 4. So I'm just going to go 4. So we just turned that data into a pictograph. Okay? You might need to do that in a few days again. So hopefully you were paying close attention there. All right, now they're going to ask us some questions that we need to answer about our pictograph. Let's look at number 8. How many playlists in all does Kanye have? Whenever you see in all, you're adding all of the numbers. Okay, so you can write your equation over here on the side. Okay, you could do 12 plus 16 plus 4. Remember, the 4 needs to stay in the 1 spot. And add that up to figure out how many playlists Kanye has. Okay, I'm not going to do that one for you. Number 9, it says how many more. Every time you see how many more, you know you are going to be doing minus. Okay, so how many more rap does he have than classical? So I need to go up and I need to look at the rap and the classical. And I need to figure out the difference. So when I'm figuring out the difference, I need to put the big number first. So my equation is going to be 16, that's the wrap, take away 4 for the classical, is going to give us our answer. That will tell us how many more rap playlists does Kanye have than classical. And you're doing labels on these two guys. All right, let's read number 10 together. How many fewer jazz playlists does Kanye have than rap? Same thing. How many fewer? We're thinking minus, okay? So I'm going to look up, but I'm only looking at jazz and rap, okay? So I'm going to look at jazz and rap. And I'm going to put my big number first, and I'm going to subtract. Okay, I'm not going to write that down, but your equation's going to go right there. All right, on our last one, we have a little bit of a typo. Okay, so this number right here is supposed to be 20. Okay, so how many pictures would you draw to show that Kanye has 20 country playlists? Now you remember that each circle equals 4. So how many of those circles would you need to draw on the line? Write it right here. How many circles would you need to draw to get to 20? All right, so finish that one up, and then we are going to meet on the next page, which is page 305. All right, here we are on our last page for today. We will do the top one together, and then you guys will be on your own for the bottom. First, we want to talk about the fact that there are horizontal and vertical bar graphs. This first one, you can see that horizontal means we go across. Vertical means we go down. So the bars on the first graph are going across. That's why it's called a horizontal bar graph. You can peek down at the bottom and see that the bars are going up and down. That's a vertical bar graph. Just a different way. Same information can go in both ways. All right. First chart says flowers in Mary's garden. Okay, they have something here that I want to talk about on number 12. It says, what do the bars represent? Represent means show. What do the bars show? It's a fancy word. Okay, so if I'm looking at my title, I have flowers in the garden, and then I have the different kinds of flowers. Daisy, zinnia, and tulip. So what do the bars show? What are the bars showing? They're showing the number of what? The number of each kind of flower. Because I have daisy, zinnia, and tulip. Okay, so when they ask you what do the bars show, they show the number of each flower. That's really all they want there, guys. But it always confuses people. Okay, and they're going to ask you down below, what do the bars show as well? Okay, so just look at your labels and tell me what the bars are showing. Okay, all right, back up to number 13. How many tulips are in the garden? Now, before we start this, we remember that we always do one thing when we have a bar graph. Okay, we are going to write the number after each bar. Okay, so let's do Daisy first. I can look down where Daisy ends, and I have to drag my finger down to see that there are 16 daisies. Okay, can you do the zinnia and the tulip before Mrs. Hagen does them? Okay, look at the zinnia, go to the end of the bar, drag your finger down, and write the number on the line. We're going to do those two, okay, and then we're going to answer our last question. All right, for zinnia, did you get 10? I bet you did. And then for tulip, drag my finger down, I get 14. So I want you to do that when you get down here as well. okay? Now, my question was, how many tulips are in Mary's garden? I can look up at my chart and I can easily see now that there are 14 because I already kind of did the work, didn't I? So 14 tulips. All right, so you're going to do the same thing down below. It's not flowers, it's vehicles in Murray's used car lot. And you have different kinds of vehicles down here, okay? So finish that page up and then make sure you submit all 3 pages to me. Thanks, guys.